Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to AVX Live. I'm Joe Gilderson, President of Corporate Audio Visual Services. I'm happy to be back after a week off, and I had the great pleasure of attending the Association of Development Officers Philanthropy Awards breakfast this morning. It was a really cool event. Normally, I don't really like the early gigs, but this is such a great group of people, and Hillary Millman and the team really do an amazing job. Congratulations to all of the award winners this morning, some amazing people, but especially our friend Joe Pizzamenti of Commercial Cleaning. Really nice speech as well. But listen, we're going to get into today's program. We have a great guest, really looking forward to it. Before we do that, though, let me just remind everybody how they can find us. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube every Wednesday, almost every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Make sure when you're on one of those channels, hit the like and subscribe button. Look, when you're here, you can drop a comment, be a part of the show. That's always fun, except if you're Mike Dardano. We've heard enough from you already today. But listen, if you miss anything, check out our YouTube channel. The other 106 episodes are all there. After we get this all done, you'll see some little small bites that'll be on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. But listen, that's all we got. So let's try to get into this thing today. And let me tell you about today's guest, which is Stacey Tompkins. Stacey Tompkins is president of Tompkins Excavating, based in Putnam Valley, New York. Stacey started her career managing corporate dining facilities on Wall Street and then transferred her business skills to their growing family business. In 2013, Stacey became president and owner of Tompkins Excavating, a prestigious award-winning commercial site development company. Her strong management background has helped cultivate a company culture that retains top quality employees. Stacey has a passion for helping guide young men and women in their workforce development. She developed a continuing relationship with Northern Westchester BOCES. She also participates in her honor mentoring, a program that provides unique learning opportunities for young women by connecting them with strong, positive female role models. Stacey is an active leader in the community, serving as the town councilwoman for the town of Putnam Valley. She's also very involved in many charitable organizations and has received so many awards that I couldn't possibly name them all. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Stacey Tompkins.
Hey, Joe, great to be here. What a nice intro. Thank you.
I mean, you're the one who lives this life, not me.
Yeah, it's been a fun road. And again, we could talk about Mike Dardano, but we won't too much because he always steals the show everywhere he goes. But he's been a big supporter and influencer for me.
Well, Mike is a character in every sense of the word.
Absolutely.
But I think the fact that, you have so many things going involved. I mean, I see you all over the place, but in very different capacities as well, which I think is really cool.
Thank you. Yes, I try to diverse myself so that it keeps my brain and my energy going. Because if you do the same thing all the time, no matter what you're doing, I think you get stale at it, and we need to reinvent ourselves to keep energetic and invigorated and inspiring. Because I need to lead people every single day.
I guess you have to inspire yourself first before you can inspire others.
And that's the hardest part. That is the hardest part. And I ask for help for that from people as well. We have business coaches. I reach out for people, that are either in my industry, not in my industry, people that I trust and rely on, that I would just call to give me a boost and some advice, because we all do need it, no matter who we are.
I think that's an excellent point.
Yeah.
Maybe a good place for us to get started, really, to tell everybody about Tompkins Excavating and how you got involved in the commercial site development world.
So the business started over 45 years ago. My husband Mark started cutting lawns, and it has evolved into a full service excavation. We call it site work, and site work means anything that's done on a site for a building to happen, with any infrastructure, earth moving, utilities, anything that's under the ground or on the ground usually has something to do with us, which are most of the things that you can't see but are super important. And how I got here was I married Mark in 1992. and started just helping in the business. I had a very lucrative, high-powered food service director. I was a food service director at Bear Stearns and Goldman Sachs, assistant food
Got
service
it.
director. So I had a really nice job. It was very lucrative. I was doing really well with that. And then it just became very cutthroat and very competitive. And it worked out that Mark's assistant or secretary at the time decided to leave because she went and did something else. And it was really just a very small company at the time. And I said, okay, I'm going to quit my very successful job, which my father was not happy about because it was salary, it was benefits, health insurance. I came from very 9-to-5 family where my husband was not. They had that free spirit, entrepreneurial spirits, and did his own business. And, that's how he grew up. So left all of that. It was a great way for me to get into the business and raise children. We had 3 kids. And we were able to, I started just a little bit, and just kept going, doing more and more. And I would say the pivoting point would be when my youngest started kindergarten. I said, okay, now I need, because I was very involved with the schools. I was president of the PTA. I was on every building steering committee. I was class mom, all of those things. So I've always been so involved. And then I said, okay, I need to take some of this energy and move it toward our business. And I would say, that's probably about 15 years ago that I said, all right, little one now in school all the time. I'm going to spend more time on the business.
Wow, that's an interesting path, right? Going from super stable to something that's like all encompassing in your life.
Yes. Yeah. It was a big risk, but bigger risks, bigger rewards. Right. And it really lended our family life for that I could be at all those things for the kids, like as I just mentioned, plus all their sporting things and anything else and driving around. And I worked. I had a great helper, childcare person who we're still close with to this day. And if it wasn't for her, I probably couldn't have even done what I had done up until that point, when they were small, when they weren't in school.
Well, I know that I've seen some of the projects that you've worked on, and they're pretty amazing. So it's a really good thing. You guys have done really well.
Thank you.
You have a great business.
Yeah, and it's evolved, right? It's an evolution. I think we pivoted probably about 8 to 10 years ago when my older son started studying civil engineering at Northeastern. And he really started pivoting us to look at different things. And we're going to talk about technology. I know that's on our plans to talk about. But I would say that his at a certain point about 8 years ago is when we decided to change the direction of the company.
Well, that's interesting. I'm glad it took a fellow Northeastern alum to.
Oh, you go Northeastern?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did.
Love it.
That's that's a good point. So let's lead into technology, since you kind of made a reference to that, because I'm sure that most people really don't think of construction and excavation and technology in the same thought process. But I'm pretty positive that there's a lot more involved than everybody thinks. So maybe you could tell us how you use
there really is. And that's where it started, was when Kevin was doing a co-op for a huge construction company up in Boston, McCourt Construction, I believe was. And they had they're called intelligent machines. So they're GPS guided. So basically you put information in it, and it almost simplifying it. It really tells you how far to dig, how deep to dig, it doesn't let you do what you're not supposed to do. There's obviously much more complicated than that, in there. And we bought our first intelligent machine back in 2016. And we did the Peekskill Firehouse, and that was our first bigger job with it. And we were really one of the first people in this area. I'm not gonna say not the first, but it was not a thing 8 years ago, 9 years ago, and now you'll see it more and more and more. So it's the technology is insane. We also have a software that we just invested in about a year ago for all our equipment. As we're growing, we have so much equipment, and how to manage it and maintain it and keep track of it. And it's called HCSS, and it's a whole platform of it. It's all computerized. We have QR codes on on most of the equipment, so the guys can scan it in from the field, put notes in there and say such and such needs to be done. The newer machines also that you buy them, they also have, I think it's called Teletronics, or I'll get in trouble from not saying it right, but the commodity manufacturers, they can tell you when you need a service, when they have a whole computerized system, and those are on the newer machines.
Sure.
Then there's drone technology, which we talked a little bit about, and everybody thinks of a drone as, yes, you do go up, you take great pictures with that. And we use those for people love to see their jobs that way. It's a great way to showcase our work, but it's also used in a different application. It quantifies us when we have to move a lot of dirt, and we have lots of piles. If you drive up and down the road, you see piles of gravel, you see piles of dirt, you'll see piles of, and it's a lot of our jobs are getting technical. It's like you have to export stuff out, import in. Anyway, this drone technology, which we just bought it this January, can fly over and run reports and tell you how much material you have in that pile.
Really?
Yeah, it's insane.
Wow.
It's insane. Yeah.
And now, see, what would you have to do previously?
Well, we were doing
that information
just till few months ago, and we're just starting to learn how to use it, because obviously with all this stuff becomes big learning curves with it.
Of course.
They would have to do it they would have a manual GPS, and if they would go and they would do it manually. You walk around the piles. And again, I wouldn't know how to do it myself. I'm not going to lie. I have very smart younger people that know how to do that.
That's okay.
So
that's what you need.
And it's not accurate. It's close, it's good, but when we're dealing with a lot of material that has to get moved in or out, and you might be disagreeing with your client on those because there's big numbers attached to that financially, in out material, it's a pretty solid way to quantify the product that you have.
That's really interesting. I wouldn't have considered that to be one of the uses. So that I love hearing about stuff like this, because that's exactly how, those are the things if you're not in that, you don't think of. And you're right, because if you provided that information and said, look, we took the drone footage and here's what it said we were moving, like that instantly seems more realistic than, all right, well, we went through this by hand and here's what we came up with.
It's a little harder to dispute. They're called cut and fill maps that you can generate from it, and it shows. And when you're dealing with a client or a potential current, whatever it is, it's a little hard to refute that information when it's pretty scientific at that point.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
So you got to keep testing.
Yeah, you'd mentioned obviously in jest about younger, really intelligent, type of people operating this stuff. But while I know you were joking around, I know that you put a lot of time and effort into your team and your staff. How do you go about finding these people and of course retaining them so you can kind of continue your continuity and growth?
So there's a lot of ways that we do that. I always joke before, COVID, everybody talked. We were having a labor shortage, or hard to find people back years and years ago. And everybody caught up with us back in 2020, and it became, everybody was on a level playing field. So fast forward to, I would say, the last year or so, maybe 2 years, we've really spent a lot of time on developing our upper management people. We have meetings every week. We talk about leadership. We talk about training, and really coaching at that level, because it comes from the top down. And all our field people, we've invested in a training program. It's called Builds Wit, and it's a series, 400, 500 videos. So we're committed to training people, I think, is really what the bottom line is. We have developed a relationship with BOCES, which is the Northern Westchester BOCES over here in Yorktown Heights. And about 4 or 5 years ago, it was before COVID. It was right at COVID. I went to, I think I was, and somebody was there doing a little presentation on workforce development. And I said, I have to figure this out. I have to find a way to get us involved, and took a lot of digging and figuring out, but I made a relationship. I met this man, John Madden, who runs the BOCES, tech part of our world up in Yorktown, and is the most amazing person. And what we started doing was just going into their classroom and speaking and coming in with, we would give out T-shirts and fun stuff, which the kids love. We would show a video about what we would do. We would bring books in, and we would also show that to be in our business, you don't have to necessarily just be holding a shovel or running a machine. There's just like any business. There's marketing. There's all kinds of variations to that. So we've built a relationship with them. And right now, to date, we have 2 people that have still, one has been with us about 4 years already. And another young man is probably about a year. He's been with us already. And they're great. Wow. They're hardworking. And we will continue that relationship with them. We try to go in once or twice a year to at least, talk to the kids. We're scheduled to go in April to go back.
That's fantastic.
So that is, and then I also think that the other things that we do internally, we started just, people that work for you, they have to be your family. You have to treat them that your family. And it's taken a long time of things that we've put in place. We do Pizza Fridays. Nobody here buys lunch on Fridays. Nobody.
Pizza Fridays.
Tompkins pays for Pizza Fridays. Every job site, every employee knows that they don't have to bring in lunch on Friday. And it's just a way for them to sit down and talk to each other, because we're disconnected. Everybody's not in the same place because we're different jobs. Right. So, and we try to travel around to go visit a job site to have lunch with them when the weather's, a little bit better. We offer employee incentives, a bonus program for people that refer people to us. We have a bonus program, because what better person to come work for you than somebody that works for you already that is great.
Yeah.
And that speaks volumes. And we've been really, really capitalizing on that a lot. We have probably 10 to 15 people right now that have just come through that are referrals, and more people waiting. And that's just been a long time of cultivating that culture that people want to work here.
Well, that speaks to everything that's going on.
Right.
It's not just Pizza Fridays.
No. No.
But Pizza Fridays are still great.
It's great. Yes. It's great. And, we try to do whatever else. We team bonding. We haven't done one since the holidays, but maybe once a quarter, we try to do a bowling night or axe throwing, things like that they can just be together again, because they don't see each other. So that they could.
Right. They're on different projects, different sites.
Yeah. It's almost like being in different companies. So.
Yeah. Now, see, Stacey, I don't know if I'd let any of my team handle axes. I don't.
Well, it's pretty controlled when you.
I think it's going to end badly. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
So we do some fun things, and I they appreciate it. They do. Most of the people do appreciate it, and I love doing things when it's appreciated.
Well, I think what you're doing training wise and with BOCES, I think is fantastic. That's we'd always struggled with trying to find a way to get people started. It wasn't so much like senior people that need to learn one skill. It was more like, how do you start in an industry?
Right.
How do you get to a point where somebody would pay you money to do something?
Right.
So
yeah.
And we really couldn't find it. So we had to start our own training.
Well, that's it.
And then you had control over the message and all the other nuances that kind of go into your service. But But I think that's great what you guys are doing.
Thank you. And sometimes it's better to train, it takes a lot more time and money, of course, but it is better to train because you're training them the way that you need them to work, whatever business you're in. And it's the Tompkins way. I always say, you may learn it somewhere else, but you got to learn it the Tompkins way.
Yeah, no, you're right. Stacey, we have a question from the audience.
Oh, okay.
One Marissa Madonia asked if you have any advice to other women aspiring to leadership positions in construction or similar fields.
Well, I think it's really is my whole thing is being authentic. It's being yourself. It's not pretending that you don't know something that you don't know, because people can figure that out. I always would say, if obviously male dominated industry, and walk into a room, and I'll never forget, it was probably 8 years ago, and it was the Peekskill Firehouse, and the client, they hadn't awarded the job yet, and I went in there with 4 men, the set of plans. Now I can't read the plans, but I could answer a lot of questions, and I said, you know what, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to find out. So I think being honest and not bullshitting anybody is really what I think is super important, no matter what you're doing. I think, especially if you're a woman trying to maybe get into an industry that might be a little bit more male dominated, and that's a focus on a lot of things and a lot of different groups, talking about those things. I always sort of look at it. It's really, you have to be yourself no matter where you are and what you're doing. It is a little bit harder when you are walking into a room or a situation where maybe you are the only female in that room. And that just comes with a little bit of it's also knowing your audience, knowing your social space, knowing where you can insert yourself and where you can't. And I don't know if there's directions on that exactly, but comes with a little bit of age.
Well, I think we see similar things in the technology side, whether it's in audiovisual or IT. They're still very male dominated, a lot of the positions and roles. Yeah. So I think there's some similarities there, and it's a really good question, because in reality, that's, these are roles that everybody can fulfill.
Right. Exactly. And there's a big movement to have women in the industry, but I look at it more of just getting more people in our industry. That's the workforce development that we're talking about. There's a big push on all of that. Man, woman, green, black, whatever you are, who cares? We want good people to work in our industry.
For a little while on our show here, I was green. There was something wrong with my camera, and so I was like the Hulk and was green.
Okay, well, you didn't look green here.
No, today I'm good. Today I'm good.
Okay.
We swapped out the camera, but we're good now.
Right, doesn't care. We just want good humans that want to work. That's what we want.
Good humans. I get it.
That's what we want.
Well, I think that's probably how you guys have been so successful, is because of attracting the right people, retaining these people, and, just everybody being considered as part of a larger scope of family. Are there other things that you're doing to try to grow and retain the business, or maybe things that you guys do differently?
Well, I always would say, like everybody, there's competition out there. It's very competitive, no matter what. So I said, what sets us apart? Because anybody else can they do the work that we do? Sure. But what I think sets us apart is that we are who we say we are, just kind of how I just talked about with being a leader is being authentic. And that's how we are as a business. And, our values and, how we, they're behind me, our values of our company. And we look at that often, and we really try to live those values. We are who we are. We're approachable. We're reachable. We even to the point, we have 40 employees now, but I want to know every employee that we have. I know every client that we have, because obviously I'm doing a lot of that part of that. That's the business development part of that. And we are just Mark has been in the business for so long, and he is about as salt to the earth as you get. Really, it's you see him, and there is no BS. And we deliver, what we say we're going to deliver, and don't cut corners. Work really. We try to work efficiently, neatly. Again, it's really your reputation, I think, that has to set you apart from the actual work. Plus, obviously, you have to do really good work, which we do, and you have to do the good work.
You can never stray from that.
No, that's kind of a given.
Always have to do really good work.
Yeah, that's kind of a given. But right, I always say somebody, and not everybody else, no matter what, does the same quality work that we do.
Correct.
That's for sure. There's no question about that. I'm confident of that we will be the highest quality. Of course, you're not always the least expensive. But bottom line, for a lot of times in our business is just the bottom line, and they don't care how great you are either. So it's then how do you push yourself over to that next level to say, well, give us a shot. So it's a lot of trial and error also at the same time. But I think it is
Well,
just that it's just the presence, and that people feel that and know it and hear about it. And that's taken a lot of years to do that. I think we're getting there finally.
yeah, time helps in some capacities,
Sure, yeah.
but you guys have an excellent reputation,
Thank you. I
and
appreciate
I
that.
think everybody knows what they're getting, when they bring you guys on, and that's a pretty big deal in an industry that's not actually known for that.
Right, exactly. And maybe
So,
that's also good because it lets you not easily because a lot of work, but since not a lot of people are doing that, it's, I always say, when you raise children, I mean, I have 3 amazing children that are hard workers and polite and nice. And I'm like, that's how it just should be. And so many are not, it is what it is. So it's just this is how we roll, how we, raise my children, how we run the business, how we will continue to keep this moving forward is those principles.
well, those are good principles, and the fact that they're right behind you, I think, says a lot as is.
Yes.
Now, besides your day-to-day business operations, which obviously is a lot of work, we should probably discuss all of your other activities, your community leadership, your charitable organizations. I don't even know how you find time to do all these things, but I guess the first question is, why are those things important to you?
Well, they're important to me for a few reasons. On a global level, or bigger than me level, is it feels good to give back and to help people, no matter what it is, whether it's financially, whether it's just your time, a phone call, whatever it looks like. It's not just writing a check, because that's easy to do. But I do believe that it's again a moral compass, a moral, it's like a value that we've had that we, even again, going back to family, it's the same thing. We always try to mentor or work with people, children, in whatever capacity. And then on a selfish note, let's just say, I enjoy it. I like it. I guess not a selfish note, but it's
not selfish.
It's not selfish. It's actually a good. People say, well, why are you on your town board? Why did you run for your local town board? You're crazy. Your business is in town. They're going to be all over you. It's going to be ugly and messy. And why you're crazy. I love it. I love it. And I think it gives me another brain. It gets me to channel my brain in another direction. And so much of a town has to do with building an infrastructure and things like that. Even though Putnam Valley is small in that regard, there's so much that I bring to the table that I had no idea that I would have. So,
I believe that. I mean, you've worked on such a variety of projects, and infrastructure is the name of the game.
Yeah.
And your community, some of the roads it's tough to navigate. So
yeah. So I do, and it lets me take a break from again, lets your brain, your mind, your body do something different that's not entrenched in just your own work. And you try to do things that are going to be, you're not going to make, we know, everybody happy all the time. In any event, being on a town board, it's going to be the same thing, but we have a great town board and we work really well together. So we have the same goal. Is we really just want to do things that are going to move our town forward and keep the residents as happy and be able to stay here.
Well, I get the sense that you've probably always been heavily involved in your community.
Yeah. Always have been. Again, like I mentioned, always with the local, with the, being involved with the schools, and then just any charitable organizations that I can, support. Connection is near and dear. I wish I had more time to do some more of that and look at ways to, now that we're forming a different kind of team internally, we might be able to look at. I love handing out popcorn. It's great. Love it.
It kind of puts things in perspective a little.
Yeah. So whatever, but I think at my point in time, I do know how to say no, because you do know how to have to say no. And then maybe to Marissa's to Marissa's question too, is learning how to say no to, as well. That's a hard thing for people to do. But,
Yeah, it is an acquired skill like everything else, right?
yeah.
When to say no.
Correct. Right. And how to say no, right?
And how, yes.
How
Yeah,
to
those
say
are
no.
acquired skills.
Correct. Without slamming the door on somebody's face, or, it's because I've been told no. I'm sure you've been told no plenty of times.
Many times.
Many times. No is a good thing, they say, because it opens that other door.
Well, I think you're on point, because and many times it's like that. It's usually about time is the way I look at it. And that time is probably going to take away from something else that might be more important in your life at that moment.
At that time. Right. Exactly.
Right. And because I think timing's a big part of it. I know that as I've been asked certain things, I'm always like, I don't think that's for right now.
Right.
It's good because if you go at it and you don't give it your energy, then it's not gonna be worth it anyways. So
correct. Right. And I don't know if would have wanted to be on my town board 5 years ago. Right. I'm almost I'm just about my last one is graduating college, and I don't have little children at home that I need to go worry about to take care of and get the soccer game. So I do have that time at night now, or in the mornings, or whatever it looks like, where I wouldn't have been able to do that 5-10 years ago. So you're correct. Yeah. It is all about timing and where you are in your life, or even the Huron or mentoring. That is a time commitment. It's an hour a week, which isn't a lot of time, but it is a lot of time. It is, and very well worth it. But when you're trying to put somebody else's high school schedule together amongst your schedule, it's not so easy, because they're high school. So they're in school from 7 to 4, whatever it is. So
right. That's a pretty set schedule.
Correct. Right. You can't say, can we talk at 2? Nah,
yeah, it's not going to work out.
Right. So when you look at it that way, an hour a week is not a lot of time, but it's a lot of time to try to schedule.
Yeah, because it's going to fall exactly when something else is going to fall.
Right. Exactly. That's why I've been doing it on the weekends. So it's been working.
No
time during the week.
That's pretty great.
Yeah. It's great. It's a great program. Yeah.
Excellent. I mean, I think what you had, all the different things you have going on, like they're very inspiring. You're active in every way, whether it's in your family, in your business, in your community, with charity, and trying to help the future. Our future leaders in society. I mean, that's
right.
That's a mouthful. It's a lot going on.
It is, but it's all rewarding. Again, it's what, because my biggest goal is to have the people I'm leaving here, right? Yes, it's wonderful to work with other people, and that's great. But my main focus is my 2 children and whoever younger people are going to be. I always tell, we met with an employee yesterday, and I said, my kids need young, solid people that want to stay here and work with you and be here for the long haul. And that's how you want to have the people come and stay with you that are going to be committed. So.
No, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
And I imagine there's a lot of transient workforce in kind of your field, and we certainly see a lot of that as well. Mm-hmm. And look, sometimes it's just a time and a place, and that's okay. But for the long term, you're not trying to build your existence based on that, because you just can't install the same value system.
No, exactly.
As when people are coming and going, but.
Yeah. But I mean, for the most part, we have people that, right now we do have people that are here, that are, because we're not seasonal. My work is 12 months a year. So we don't lay people off. We try, we never have. And we work as much as we can in the winter or the seasons, or when the work, when the work is at its highest or busiest, you just keep going. And when it's not, you still try to keep everybody going, so that when you do get really busy, you have them all ready to go, that you have your bench, everybody's ready to go.
It's a good plan.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's one of those things that probably sets you apart, and you don't even realize it. But
right. That's true too. Yeah. You might be right.
See, you're doing some good things.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. And I'll just throw in too, we we have, for the last 10, 12 years, business coaches. Again, you can't do this. I always say, like with kids, there's no little handbook that came out and so this is how you have to do it. So you have to tap in and utilize resources, friends, people, mentors, coaches. I'm a firm believer in help and in getting the guidance from people that are, I always say, smarter than me, because that's how you get smarter yourself. Surround yourself by smarter people. That's what somebody told me a long time ago.
Well, that's why you're on the show, Stacey.
Right.
But I think this might be a good place for us to wrap up, because that's an excellent set of advice right there to try to get help and learn from others, and and learn from people who have certain experiences and have gone through certain situations in the past that would be applicable. Don't
be afraid.
This is great. Well, hey, listen, Stacey, thank you so much for your time. I mean, I don't even know how you fit me in your schedule. You have so much going on.
Of course. Anytime. It was a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Well, I know I'm going to see you at some event really soon. I don't know which one just yet.
What was that?
I don't know which one just yet, but I know it's going to be soon.
It'll be probably before we even know it, right?
I'm sure of that. A little side note. The day you got this award right here, because I know you've received a lot of awards, so I'm just going to remind you of this particular one. I think I was seated next to you in the picture when we had the group shot for it.
Yes, that's right. You were the same. That's right. That was 2019. That's 5 years ago already.
The 2019 class. I know, that's amazing, right?
Do you ever see yourself at the Westchester Airport? Do they have you gone to Westchester Airport?
I have. I was just there recently and I saw it there.
Everybody said, "Oh, there's your."
I thought it was kind of fun.
That is cool to be there, right?
I thought it was. I thought it was kind of unique, by itself. So, yes. But listen, thank you again, Stacey, and I hope to see you really soon. Thanks for all of your time and advice today.
Absolutely. Have a great day. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll catch up soon. You just got some expert advice there from Stacey Tompkins. I mean, what a wealth of knowledge and experiences, and really to apply to kind of everyone. But certainly she's trying to help a lot of young people right now, and is an expert in team building and has had a lot of great success. So we're really grateful to have her on the show. So listen, we're going to wrap this thing up. Let me just remind everybody how you can find us: Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube every Wednesday, 1 p.m. While you're on the channels, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. And anytime you want, feel free to drop us a comment. But that's all we're going to do for today. Thank you to everyone for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.